Welcome to Monk's Temple. Settle in. Let the day's momentum slow, and let your attention soften and turn inward. What we explore here isn't abstract philosophy. It is a living psychology, a practical way of being that addresses the very root of our stress, anxiety, and longing. At its heart is a principle so fundamental, so obvious, that we spend our lives constructing elaborate fantasies to avoid it, the truth of impermanence. In the Buddha's framework, this is Anicca. It is not a doctrine of pessimism. It is the ultimate psychological insight, and when understood, it becomes the foundation for genuine resilience and peace. We begin not with complex theory, but with your own direct experience. Think of the last time you felt a sharp pang of annoyance because a plan was cancelled. Or the low-grade anxiety of waiting for news that could go either way. Or even the quiet sadness when you realized a favorite phase of your life was definitively over. In all these moments, you are encountering the same reality: things are not staying as they are, or as you wish them to be. Our instinct is to fight this. To mentally argue with the cancelled plan, to feverishly imagine all possible outcomes of the awaited news, to cling to mental photographs of that lost phase. This inner struggle, this resistance to the flow of experience, is the primary source of what the Buddha called dukkha. Often translated as suffering, but better understood as chronic dissatisfaction, the persistent feeling that life is just slightly out of joint. The revolutionary, actionable insight is this: the problem is not change. The problem is your relationship to change. If what you're hearing speaks to a part of you seeking a saner way to navigate life's inevitable shifts, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It is simply a way to honor that intention in yourself, to mark this as a space you can return to for clarity and calm. Now, let's look at this resistance more closely. I want to share a personal anecdote from my own learning. Early in my practice, I had a small, beautiful ceramic bowl. It was perfectly symmetrical, glazed in a deep blue that seemed to hold light. It represented an ideal of tranquility for me. One day, while cleaning, my elbow caught its edge and sent it crashing to the floor. It shattered into a dozen pieces. My immediate reaction was a surge of frustration, followed by a hollow sense of loss. I spent an hour carefully gluing it back together. But when I was done, the bowl was a web of fine cracks. It could no longer hold water. It had become a symbol of damage, not peace. In trying to preserve the form, I had preserved only the fact of its breaking. The lesson was slow to dawn. My attachment was to the idea of the perfect, permanent bowl. The actual, living reality of the bowl included its fragility, its destiny to someday break. By refusing that full reality, I trapped myself with a broken object. The Buddha's wisdom guides us here. We suffer not because things are fragile, but because we demand that they be otherwise. We insist the ceramic be iron. And in that impossible demand, we break ourselves against the truth. Our modern world expertly fuels this demand. It markets permanence to us, eternal youth, financial security that never falters, happily ever after, as a static destination. This conditioning sets a psychological trap. We then interpret the natural aging of our bodies as personal failure. A market downturn feels like a moral judgment. A challenging period in a relationship reads as proof it was never meant to be. We are at war with the nature of existence, and it is a war we cannot win. The fatigue you feel, that background hum of anxiety, much of it is the exhaustion of this futile campaign. Let's reframe this with a modern example. rooted in the core Buddhist principle of anatta, or non-self. Think of your personality, your self, not as a solid monument, but as a playlist. You have your upbeat, confident morning songs. Your slower, reflective evening tracks. Your angry rock anthems for when you're cut off in traffic. Your sentimental ballads. You would never say, I am the 3:42-minute pop song track 5. You understand you have a playlist, and you can shuffle it, add new songs, remove ones you're tired of. Anatta is this insight applied to your entire being. You are not a fixed, permanent self. You are a dynamic, ever-changing process, a flow of thoughts, moods, sensations, and roles. The psychological suffering comes when you hit a sad song and declare, I am a sad person. You've mistaken a temporary track for the entire music library. The liberation is in the realization, a feeling of sadness is playing right now. This creates a critical space, a moment of choice. You are the awareness hearing the playlist, not the song itself. This is not a metaphor to bypass pain, it is a tool to prevent pain from defining your entire existence. It turns a tsunami of, I am devastated, into a manageable weather pattern of, a storm of devastation is passing through. One drowns you. The other, you can observe, breathe through, and know it will change. I witnessed a powerful example of this with a colleague, a brilliant and notoriously irritable software engineer. His identity was tied to being the smartest, sharpest critic in the room. One day, his young daughter said to him, Daddy, your angry face is like your superhero mask, but you forget to take it off when you come home. It stunned him. He saw he had glued a specific pattern of behavior. Critical, impatient, to his core identity. He began a simple practice. Before speaking in meetings or at home, he would take one breath and silently ask, is this the track I want to play? Slowly, he found he could shuffle the playlist. He could access kindness, patience, even silliness, tracks that were always there but rarely played. He didn't become a different person, he discovered he was never that one, solid, irritable person to begin with. He was the spacious awareness that could choose which aspect of his human repertoire to express. This is the profound, practical self-help within the Buddha's framework. You are not stuck with the personality you think you have. You are the curator of a living, changing collection. Shall we continue? Let's deepen this exploration by moving from understanding our own minds to understanding the world they interact with. If the principle of anatta shows us the fluidity of the self, then the companion principle of praditya samutpada, dependent origination, reveals the fluidity of everything else. This is the Buddhist psychological insight that nothing exists in isolation. Every thought, object, person, and event is a temporary knot in a vast, shimmering web of causes and conditions. You are a node in this net. Your boss's mood, the traffic light, the global supply chain, the weather. All are threads connected to the knot of you in this moment. This is not mystical thinking, it is a radical model of interdependence that makes profound sense of our modern stress and offers a clear path to relief. We often live with a hidden assumption that we are separate, self-contained units navigating a world of other separate units. This assumption breeds a specific kind of anguish. When something goes wrong, you get sick, a project fails. You search for a single, solid cause within the confines of your personal story. You blame yourself, or you blame another person. I wasn't disciplined enough. They didn't hold up their end. This creates a world of blame and brittle responsibility. Praditya Samutpada offers a more spacious, accurate, and compassionate view. It says, this event arose because of a near-infinite confluence of factors. Your genetics, your sleep last week, the societal pressure to perform, your colleagues' hidden stress affecting their communication, a glitch in the software, the very expectation of a right outcome. Seeing this doesn't absolve you of responsibility, it contextualizes it. Your actions are one crucial thread among many. This shift from a blame model to a systemic model is psychologically liberating. It converts the crushing weight of, "it's all my fault," into the empowered clarity of, "here is my thread. How can I skillfully work with it now?" Let me illustrate with an original story. I knew a master chef who ran a celebrated farm-to-table restaurant. One autumn, he planned his signature dish around a specific variety of heirloom pumpkin. He had a contract with a local farmer. But a series of unseasonably warm nights, followed by a pest outbreak in the farmer's field, decimated the crop. The day the farmer delivered the news, the chef was furious. His vision was ruined, his menu a shambles. He blamed the farmer for poor pest control. He blamed the weather. He was trapped in a story of personal sabotage. Then, he took a walk. He passed the now-failed pumpkin patch and saw the farmer, a man he respected, looking utterly defeated. In that moment, the web became visible. He saw the chain, unusual weather, global patterns, pests, ecological balance. A farmer's worry, financial stress, his own rigid attachment to a specific vision, his mental conditioning. His anger dissolved into a shared predicament. He returned to his kitchen, gathered his team, and said, "The pumpkin is off. What did the land actually give us in abundance?" They discovered the cool weather had produced stunning root vegetables and hardy greens. The new dish they created, born of adaptability rather than fixed planning, became an even greater success. The chef later told me, "I stopped being a dictator demanding a specific ingredient from the world. I became a partner in a conversation with what is actually happening." This is the practical application of dependent origination. You stop fighting the web and learn to feel its vibrations. You respond to the actual conditions present, not the conditions you insisted should be present. This directly relates to a modern psychological plague, the feeling of being overwhelmed. We look at the news, our to-do lists, our relationships, and we feel a monolithic weight. But what if that weight is the illusion of solidity? The Buddhist framework encourages us to apply the wisdom of deconstruction. That overwhelming project is not a solid boulder. It is a collection of smaller tasks, each dependent on time, information, and energy. Your anxiety about a relationship is not a solid cloud of doom. It is a specific fear about a future conversation, dependent on past memories and current assumptions. By seeing the dependent parts, you can engage with them one at a time. You untie the knot thread by thread, instead of trying to lift an impossible weight. Now, let's bring this to one of the most powerful forces in our lives, emotion. We often treat emotions as permanent invaders. "I am depressed," we say, as if depression has taken up permanent residence in the core of our being. The psychology of the Buddha reframes this entirely. An emotion is not a solid thing. It is a process, a temporary constellation of physiological sensations, triggered thoughts, and behavioral impulses, all dependent on causes and conditions. A feeling of anger, for instance, depends on a perceived slight, cause, a rush of adrenaline, biological condition, a thought story of injustice, mental condition, and a learned habit of expression, conditioning. Seeing it this way is a game changer. You are no longer facing a monolithic anger. You are observing a set of interconnected phenomena. And you can work with the links in the chain. You can feel the heat in your chest, sensation, without having to buy the thought story that, this person always disrespects me. You can notice the urge to yell, impulse, and choose to take 3 breaths instead. You deconstruct the emotion, and in doing so, you regain agency. I will share a story from a woman who attended a retreat. She was grappling with what she called a bottomless grief following a loss. She felt she would drown in it forever. The guide didn't ask her to talk about the grief. Instead, she was asked to lie down and, for 20 minutes, simply scan her body and describe the physical sensations she associated with the grief. Heaviness in my chest, she said. A hollow ache in my stomach. Tension in my throat. She was asked to feel just the heaviness, as pure sensation, without the story of loss. Then just the hollow ache. Then just the tension. She reported that as she did this, something shifted. The solid, all-consuming grief began to separate into distinct sensory experiences, each of which would intensify, pause, and soften. They were waves, not a still, drowning pool. The grief didn't disappear, she said. But it stopped being a place I was trapped inside. It became a weather system moving through the space of my body. I was the space, not the storm. This is applying dependent origination to our inner world. You break the spell of a solid, permanent emotional state by observing the dependent parts that compose it in the present moment. This is actionable, liberating self-help. Finally, this interconnected view is the seed of genuine compassion, which the Buddha placed at the very center of his path. When you see that everyone is a temporary node in the web, shaped by a million causes and conditions. Their genetics, their trauma, their culture, their fears, judgment softens. The person who cuts you off in traffic is not a solid jerk. They are a knot of rushing, distraction, anxiety, or habit in that moment. This doesn't excuse dangerous behavior, but it prevents you from solidifying them into an enemy. Your own reactive anger is seen not as your core failing, but as a conditioned thread in the web, which you can now choose to not pull on. This insight turns the world from a battlefield of separate selves into a shared, dynamic, and often painful tapestry. And your role shifts from solitary warrior to compassionate participant, mending your own threads with care, knowing they are woven into the whole. Shall we continue? We now turn to the ground where all theory meets reality, our daily habits of mind. We've spoken of impermanence and interconnectedness. But how do we internalize this, so it's not just a concept but a living truth that alters our moment-to-moment experience? The Buddha's path provides a profound answer, one that is deeply psychological and immensely practical. It begins with a shift in perception, a retraining of our attention away from what is happening to the space in which it happens. This is the heart of mindful awareness, and it is the bridge between understanding freedom and actually tasting it. Consider your own stream of consciousness. For most of us, it is a chaotic commentary on life. We are narrators of a story where we are the main character, perpetually under threat or in pursuit. I need to fix this. I hope that happens. Why did they say that? This inner narration creates a sense of a solid, continuous self navigating a world of other solid objects and people. But what if you could change the channel? Not to silence, but to a wider perspective. This is the practice. It's learning to notice the commentary as just another event in the field of your awareness, not the definitive truth of your situation. Imagine you're watching a movie and you become completely absorbed, crying when the character cries. That's ordinary consciousness. Now imagine you notice the film grain, the edges of the screen, the speaker emitting the soundtrack. You're still watching the movie, but you're no longer lost in it. You've remembered the context. Mindfulness is remembering the context of your own experience. Let me share an original story that illustrates this shift. A musician friend, a brilliant guitarist, struggled with terrible stage fright. His fear was a monolithic presence: I am terrified. I will fail. It paralyzed him. A mentor gave him a strange instruction. Next time, she said, don't try to be calm. Instead, your only job is to notice 5 specific sounds from the moment you walk on stage until you play the first note. The next performance, he walked into the glare of the lights, his heart pounding. But he had a task. Sound 1, the muffled roar of the crowd. Sound 2, the squeak of his shoe on the stage floor. Sound 3, the rustle of his sleeve against the guitar. Sound 4, his own breath in the microphone. Sound 5, the faint hum of the amplifier. In hunting for these specific sounds, something broke open. The solid, I am terrified, shattered into a collection of sensory details. He was no longer trapped inside the character, terrified musician. He became an explorer of the present moment arena. He played, he said, with a new kind of freedom. The fear didn't vanish, it became just one element in a rich, textured landscape. He had, for the first time, found the edges of his own screen. This is the essence of the practice, using focused attention on the raw data of the senses to break the hypnosis of our own stories. This leads us to a core Buddhist concept that is the ultimate tool for psychological resilience, vipassana, or insight meditation. While samatha, calm, meditation steadies the mind, vipassana uses that steadiness to investigate the true nature of experience. Its guiding question is simple: what is this, really? You apply it to everything. A pain in the knee, what is this, really? You find it's not a solid pain, but a mosaic of heat, pressure, vibration, and a label. A wave of anger. What is this, really? You find a clenching in the jaw, heat in the face, a rush of energy, and a story about injustice. This investigative, deconstructive gaze is how you experientially prove Anicca and Anatta to yourself. You see directly that every phenomenon is composite and fleeting. You are a scientist in the laboratory of your own being. In modern life, we can practice this without ever closing our eyes. You're stuck in traffic, frustration building. What is this, really? You feel the impatience as a physical restlessness in your legs. You hear the thought, I'm wasting my life. You see the taillights ahead as just red points of light, not as personal obstacles. This micro-inquiry punctures the balloon of generalized suffering. It brings you back to the actual, manageable reality of this moment: a body in a car, some sensations, some sounds, some thoughts. The traffic jam, as a monolithic nightmare, dissolves into a series of transient sensory events. This is not passive acceptance, it is active clarity. It is the difference between being submerged in a stormy ocean and sitting safely on the shore watching the waves. You haven't changed the ocean, but you have changed your position relative to it. I witnessed a powerful example of this with a CEO prone to explosive rage in meetings. His outbursts were legendary and damaging. He began working with a coach who taught him this "what is this, really?" method. The next time he felt the familiar surge during a presentation, he paused. Internally, he investigated, "What is this, really?" He identified a burning in his ears, a pounding in his chest, and the thought, "This person is questioning my authority." By naming these components, the solid rage became a collection of parts. The space created allowed him a choice he never had before. Instead of lashing out, he took a breath and said, "I need a moment to process that point. Let's come back to it." That moment of investigation changed his professional relationships and his own nervous system. He learned that the emotion wasn't a command, it was a weather pattern he could observe and navigate. This practice culminates in what I call resting in awareness. Once you have deconstructed enough experiences, a profound trust begins to grow. You start to identify less with the content of your mind, the ever-changing thoughts and feelings, and more with the aware, spacious presence that knows them. This is the foundational shift. You are not the sadness, you are the awareness that knows sadness. You are not the plan, you are the awareness that is formulating a plan. This aware presence is stable, clear, and unchanging in its essential nature. It is the one thing in your experience that isn't constantly arising and passing away. It is the context for all the changing content. Finding this is the real homecoming. So, the actionable path is this: start with small investigations. The next time a strong emotion arises, pause. Ask gently, "What is this, really?" Feel for the physical sensations. Note the thoughts as mental events. Don't try to change anything. Just see it as a temporary constellation of phenomena. In that seeing, you will find a gap. And in that gap, you will find your freedom. You are practicing the art of being the sky, not the weather. This is the psychological superpower offered by the Buddha's framework, the ability to be with anything because you are no longer confused about what anything actually is. Shall we continue? We have navigated the principles of change and the practice of awareness. Now, we encounter the central force that determines whether these insights remain philosophy or become liberation, our intention. In the West, we often focus solely on action and outcome. The Buddhist psychology introduces a more nuanced and powerful locus of control, the moment before action, the seat of choice itself. This is Satana, often translated as volition or intention. It's the quality of heart and mind behind what we do, say, and think. To master our intention is to purify the very source of our experience. This is where self-help moves from managing symptoms to transforming the cause. Think of your mind as a garden. Your actions and words are the visible plants and flowers. Your thoughts are the shoots and leaves. But beneath it all, hidden in the soil, are the seeds, your intentions. You can prune a weed, suppress an action, but if the seed of jealousy, fear, or greed remains in the soil, it will simply sprout elsewhere. Our culture teaches us to manicure the garden, to look good, act right, achieve goals. The Buddha's framework asks us to become wise gardeners of the soil itself. What seeds are we planting, moment by moment, with our silent wishes, our hidden resentments, our secret hopes? This shift from managing the visible to tending the invisible is the leap from behavioral adjustment to genuine transformation. We often operate with mixed or unconscious intentions. You might go to a social event with the stated intention to have fun, but the deeper, unconscious seed might be to be seen as popular, or to avoid feeling lonely. You might begin a work project intending to contribute, while a hidden seed of prove I'm the best is also planted. These hidden intentions are not moral failings, they are the conditioned software running in the background. They generate a subtle energy that shapes your experience and your results. The event might feel hollow because the hidden intention, be popular, was not met. The project might breed stress because the hidden intention, prove myself, is a taskmaster that can never be satisfied. The first step is simply to bring these intentions into the light of awareness. Let me share an original story. A talented teacher, Maria, was known for her rigorous classes. Her stated intention was academic excellence. But she felt a constant friction with her students, who seemed resistant and anxious. During a period of reflection, she was asked to explore her deeper satana. After honest inquiry, she was startled to find a buried seed: I need to be the smartest person in the room to feel safe. This intention, rooted in old insecurities, changed everything. Her rigor wasn't just about excellence, it was a performance of superiority that her students subconsciously felt and rebelled against. She began to consciously plant a new seed before each class: may this space allow every mind, including mine, to discover something new. She didn't dumb down the material. She changed the energetic foundation. Within weeks, the atmosphere shifted. Students asked more questions, engaged more deeply. The friction dissolved because the hidden, divisive intention had been replaced with a connective one. The garden bloomed because she changed the seeds. So, how do we practice this? It begins with a pause, a sacred gap between stimulus and response. In that gap, you ask a simple, profound question: what is my deepest intention here? Not the surface goal, but the quality of heart you wish to embody. Before a difficult conversation, instead of intending to win or be right, you might set an intention for clarity and kindness. Before starting your workday, instead of intending to check everything off the list, you might intend for presence and service. This isn't wishful thinking. It's a deliberate act of inner alignment. It sets the compass of your mind and energy before you take the first step. This practice exposes one of our most common sources of suffering: the intention for control. We constantly plant seeds aimed at fixing people, manipulating outcomes, and freezing pleasant moments. These are seeds planted in poison soil, the soil of resistance to Anicca, to impermanence. They are doomed to create frustration. The alternative is to plant seeds of wise intention, the intention to understand rather than fix, to engage skillfully rather than control the outcome, to appreciate fully rather than cling. This shifts you from a state of struggle to a state of partnership with reality. I saw a powerful example of this with a father and his teenage son, who was struggling and pulling away. The father's every action, the lectures, the rules, the rewards, was seeded with the intention to get him back on the right path. It felt like control to the son, and created a wall. The father, in despair, finally shifted his intention. He told his son, "My only intention now is to understand you and to love you, even when I don't understand." He stopped giving unsolicited advice. He just listened. He planted seeds of unconditional presence, not conditional correction. It didn't fix the sun overnight, but it dissolved the wall. Communication slowly, tentatively began again. The father's own suffering lessened because he was no longer at war with reality. He was tending a relationship with the person actually in front of him, not the idea of who he should be. This brings us to the Buddha's strategic use of intention in the form of the Brahmaviharas, the heart attitudes. These are not feelings you force, but intentions you cultivate. They are the highest quality seeds you can plant in your mental soil. They are metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, appreciative joy, and upekkha, equanimity. You consciously offer these intentions, first to yourself, then to others. You might silently repeat, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful." This isn't a magic spell. It's a seed-planting ritual for your own heart. When you plant metta, you are directly opposing the seed of ill will. When you plant karuna, you are dissolving the seed of indifference. This is proactive mental gardening. Therefore, your practical work is this: several times a day, create the pause. In the pause, plant a seed. Before you open your email, plant a seed of calm focus. Before you eat, plant a seed of gratitude. Before you speak, plant a seed of honesty and care. You are not responsible for how the seed grows, that depends on the complex web of conditions. You are only responsible for the quality of the seed itself. This is a burden lifted. You are freed from the anxiety of outcomes and return to the integrity of your present moment choice. When you master intention, you realize you are always broadcasting a frequency. Your hidden resentments, your silent jealousies, your unconscious fears, these are low-frequency broadcasts that shape your world from the inside out. Your conscious intentions for goodwill, understanding, and peace are high-frequency broadcasts. They don't just change your actions. They change your perception, your magnetic field, and ultimately, the reality you co-create. You stop trying to paint a beautiful picture on a dirty canvas. You start by cleansing the canvas itself. This is the profound psychological move, from fixing the picture to purifying the source. This is how we build a life not on shifting sand, but on the solid ground of conscious choice. Shall we continue? We now come to a cornerstone of the Buddha's practical psychology, the nature of resistance. We've spoken about change and the flow of experience. Yet, a powerful, often silent force within us continually says no to that flow. This is resistance. It is not an abstract concept, it is a tangible, physical reality in your body and mind. It is the clenched jaw against a difficult truth, the tightened stomach before a challenging task, the mental argument with reality. Understanding and working with resistance is where theoretical wisdom becomes actionable, immediate relief. This is the direct path to ending the inner civil war. What are we resisting? In essence, we are resisting the truth of Anicca, impermanence. We resist endings, we resist discomfort, we resist not knowing, we resist the fact that we are not in total control. This resistance manifests as our entire spectrum of negative emotional and physical states. Anxiety is resistance to an uncertain future. Anger is often resistance to a present moment that conflicts with our desires. Depression can be a form of resistance, a shutting down in the face of a painful reality we feel powerless to change. The Buddha's insight is radical. Suffering, dukkha, is not in the pain itself, but in our resistance to the pain. The secondary layer of, "I shouldn't feel this," is what amplifies simple, fleeting pain into sustained suffering. To understand this in your own nervous system, try a simple experiment. Right now, become aware of your body. Is there any area of subtle tension? Perhaps in your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. That physical holding is a micro-expression of resistance. It is your body bracing against something, maybe the day's accumulated stress, a lingering thought, or simply the force of gravity. Now, consciously invite that area to soften. Just an invitation, not a demand. Notice what happens. Often, with the softening of physical resistance, there is a simultaneous release of mental pressure. This is the unity of mind and body the Buddha pointed to. Your body is a living map of your psychological resistance. Let me share an original story. A dedicated musician, Leo, developed a focal hand dystonia, a neurological condition where his fingers would cramp uncontrollably when he played. Medical treatments yielded little. His resistance was immense, rage at his body, grief for his lost career, terror of an unknown future. His practice became a war against his own nervous system, which only worsened the cramps. In desperation, he shifted his approach entirely. Instead of resisting the cramp, he was instructed to bring curious, non-judgmental attention to the exact physical sensation of the cramp as it began, its texture, its temperature, its precise boundaries. He was to say internally, "This is what is happening now." This was the opposite of resistance, it was deep, allowing acceptance. The first few times were agonizing. But slowly, something changed. By removing the layer of mental struggle, the physical tension lost its enemy. The neurological feedback loop of panic tension cramp began to unwind. He never regained his former virtuosity, but he found a new relationship with music and his body. The cramps lessened in severity and frequency. He later said, "I had to stop fighting the storm to feel the wind. The wind was still there, but I was no longer trying to stand rigid against it. I learned to bend." His resistance had been the true disability. Our modern world is a minefield of invitations to resist. We resist waiting in line, slow internet, opposing opinions, and our own fatigue. Each micro-resistance is a tiny surge of stress hormones, a slight tightening of the psyche. This accumulates into the background anxiety that characterizes our age. The practice, then, is to become a detective of resistance. To notice its signature, the mental "no," the bodily clench, the sigh of frustration. And in that noticing, to experiment with a conscious "yes." Not an approval of unfairness, but an acceptance of the current reality as the starting point for any effective action. You cannot skillfully change a situation you are fundamentally at war with. A powerful application is in emotional pain. When grief or sadness arises, our cultural conditioning is to resist it, to distract, to look on the bright side, to pathologize it as depression. This resistance walls off the emotion, forcing it to stagnate and grow heavier. The alternative, rooted in the Buddha's compassionate framework, is to allow the emotion to flow. You create a safe, inner space and say, "It's okay. This grief is here. Let me feel it." You provide the acceptance that the emotion itself is seeking. In doing so, you align yourself with its impermanent nature. Grief, fully allowed, moves. It washes through. Resistance turns it into a stagnant pool. Allowing turns it back into a river. Therefore, the practice for this part of our journey is this: pause. Feel. Allow. 1. Pause when you detect irritation, anxiety, or physical tension. 2. Feel the raw sensation in the body, without the story. Where is it? What is its quality? 3. Allow the sensation to be exactly as it is. Whisper internally, "This is allowed. This can be here." This is not passivity. It is the most potent form of preparation. From the clarity of acceptance, wise action can arise. From the fog of resistance, only reactive struggle emerges. When you stop resisting what is, you reclaim the enormous amount of energy previously spent on the inner war. That energy becomes available for creativity, for connection, for true problem solving. You move from being a prisoner of your conditions to being a conscious participant in your life. The river of change flows on, but you are no longer desperately building dams. You have learned to feel the current, to swim, and to appreciate the view from the water. This is freedom. Shall we continue? We have turned a light on resistance. Now, we move to its essential counterpart and a true engine of a transformed life: compassion. In the West, we often mistake compassion for pity, or a sentimental feeling of sorrow for others. In the Buddha's psychology, compassion, karuna, is something far more robust and radical. It is a clear-eyed, active response to suffering, rooted in the profound understanding of interconnection, praditya samutpita. It is not an optional spiritual virtue, it is the logical, necessary outcome of seeing how things truly are. And most importantly, it begins not with others, but with a relentless, gentle kindness toward the suffering within yourself. This is the ultimate form of psychological integration and the key to unlocking resilience. Why start with self-compassion? Because you cannot offer a kindness you have not first given yourself. If your inner world is a battlefield of self-criticism, impatience, and harsh demands, any compassion you try to extend outward will be filtered through that lens. It will be tainted with exhaustion, resentment, or a covert desire for validation. The Buddha's path is sequential. Understanding your own suffering with kindness is the training ground for understanding the suffering of others. When you touch your own pain with a compassionate presence, you are doing the fundamental healing work that allows you to show up for the world without burning out. Let's dismantle a major myth, that self-compassion is weak or self-indulgent. Modern psychology, aligning with this ancient wisdom, reveals the opposite. Self-criticism activates the body's threat defense system, flooding you with stress hormones like cortisol. It is a state of inner warfare. Self-compassion, on the other hand, activates the caregiving system, releasing oxytocin and opiates, creating feelings of safety and connection. It is a state of inner sanctuary. Which state is more likely to foster clear thinking, wise choices, and sustained effort? The research is clear. Self-compassion is correlated with greater emotional resilience, lower anxiety and depression, and more consistent motivation. It is not the enemy of accountability, it is its prerequisite. You can't learn from a mistake you are too busy berating yourself for. I'll share an original story. A dedicated social worker, Anya, was brilliant at advocating for her clients but perpetually on the edge of collapse. Her inner dialogue was a constant stream of, "You should have done more. That wasn't good enough." She saw her self-criticism as the fuel for her high standards. During a retreat, during a meditation on self-compassion, she broke down. The facilitator simply said, "What if the part of you that feels it's never enough is the part that most needs your care?" This flipped a switch. She began a practice. When she felt the familiar whip of self-criticism after a difficult day, she would place a hand on her heart and silently say, "This is the pain of caring deeply. It's okay. You are not alone in this feeling." This simple act of turning toward her pain with kindness, rather than attacking it, changed everything. The burnout decreased. Her presence with clients became more grounded, less frantic. She realized, "I had been trying to pour from an empty cup I was constantly smashing against the wall." Compassion was the act of stopping, and gently picking up the pieces to mend it. The practice of self-compassion has three core components, beautifully mapped by psychologist Kristin Neff, which echo the Buddhist teachings. 1. Mindfulness. Acknowledging your pain without over-identifying with it. This is stressful, not, "I am a stress-filled failure." 2. Common humanity. Recognizing that suffering and imperfection are part of the shared human experience, not a personal failing. This is part of being human. 3. Self-kindness. Offering yourself warmth and understanding rather than harsh judgment. May I be kind to myself in this moment. You can practice this in real time. When you make an error, instead of the mental slap of, "I'm so stupid," try the compassionate pivot, "This is a moment of suffering. Everyone makes mistakes. What do I need right now?" This isn't letting yourself off the hook, it's moving from the unproductive hook of shame to the productive ground of learning. From this foundation, compassion for others becomes natural and sustainable. You see their difficult behavior not as a personal affront, but as an expression of their suffering, their own unseen resistance, their tangled web of conditions. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat. It means your response can be strategic and firm, yet free from the poison of personal hatred. You can set a boundary with clarity, not rage. You can disagree without dehumanizing. This is compassion as a superpower in relationships and leadership. A manager I knew, Michael, led a struggling team. His old style was pressure and blame, which bred fear and secrecy. After learning these principles, he changed his approach. In a team meeting after a failed project, instead of launching an inquisition, he began with vulnerability. "This is hard for all of us. I feel disappointed and I know you do too. We're all in this together. Let's look at what happened, not to find a villain, but to find a solution." He applied the three components. Mindfulness of the shared pain, common humanity, and kindness in his tone. The energy in the room shifted from defensive to collaborative. The problem-solving that emerged was more honest and creative. Compassion created psychological safety, which in turn fueled performance. Ultimately, the Buddha's vision is of a heart that is immeasurable, boundless. This is not an emotional state of constant, gushing feeling. It is an unwavering orientation of goodwill. You cultivate it like a muscle. You start small, with yourself, with a loved one, then extend it to a neutral person, then even to someone who challenges you. You are training your heart to not contract in the face of suffering, but to remain open and responsive. This open heart is your greatest protection, for a heart that can embrace suffering cannot be shattered by it. It is the culmination of all we've practiced. Seeing clearly, letting go of resistance, and responding from a connected, grounded, and fiercely kind presence. This is how we heal ourselves and, in time, become a healing presence in the world. Shall we continue? We have built a foundation of awareness, intention, and compassion. Now we arrive at the destination all these practices point toward, living with ease. This is not laziness or complacency. It is the profound psychological state of upaya kausalya, skillful means. And it is the natural expression of a mind at peace with impermanence. Ease is the absence of unnecessary friction. It is the feeling of a well-tuned instrument, of a river finding its course, of a breath that flows unimpeded. In a world that glorifies struggle, choosing ease is a quiet rebellion. It is the ultimate sign that the Buddha's wisdom has moved from your meditation cushion into the marrow of your daily life. Ease is often misunderstood. We think it requires a life free of challenges. But true ease is discovered within challenge. It's the difference between paddling frantically against the current and turning your boat to move with the current, using your energy for steering rather than fighting. The current is life itself, its demands, its changes, its losses, and its gifts. Ease is the wisdom to discern when to push, when to pivot, and when to simply float. It arises when we stop adding a layer of psychological commentary and emotional resistance to our direct experience. The difficult task is just the difficult task. The sad news is just the sad news. The second arrow of our suffering, our story about the pain, is what we learn to lay down. Let's explore this through a modern, original story. A software engineer named David was known for his brilliant but brittle code. He approached every problem like a war, battling his computer, the specifications, even his own thoughts. He was successful, but perpetually tense. A mentor observed him and said, "You write code as if you're forcing a solution into existence. What if you instead invited the solution to emerge?" This was a paradigm shift from force to allowance. David began a new practice. When stuck, he would stop typing, lean back, and say to himself, "The solution exists. My job is to create the clearest possible conditions for it to appear." He'd take a walk, sketch the problem visually, or explain it to a rubber duck on his desk. He shifted from being a warrior to being a gardener, tending the soil of his mind so the right code could grow. The quality of his work improved, and the chronic tension in his shoulders vanished. He discovered that effort could be effortless when aligned with the natural flow of problem solving. His ease became his greatest professional asset. So, how do we cultivate this ease? It begins with trusting the process of life more than your plan for it. This doesn't mean having no direction. It means holding your map lightly, knowing the terrain will change. It's the difference between white-knuckling the steering wheel on a foggy road and driving with alert, relaxed hands, ready to adjust. Your intention is your destination, but your attention is on the road right in front of you, responding fluidly to each curve and sign. This trust is earned through your own practice. Every time you successfully navigated a past difficulty by pausing, feeling, and responding instead of reacting, you built a neural pathway of trust. You proved to yourself that you don't need to control everything to be okay. A powerful domain to practice ease is in communication. Our habitual mode is often one of subtle aggression or defense, making our point, proving we're right, shielding our vulnerability. Communication with ease is an act of curiosity and connection. Before speaking, you take a micro-moment to ground yourself in your body. You listen not to prepare your rebuttal, but to truly understand the other person's world. Your words then come from a place of fullness, not lack. They have weight without heaviness. You can disagree without discord because your sense of self isn't on the line. The conversation becomes a dance, not a duel. I witnessed this with a couple on the brink of separation. Every conversation was a minefield of old wounds and loaded language. Their therapist gave them a single practice: before you respond, take one breath together in silence. That shared breath created a tiny island of ease in the stormy sea of their conflict. In that space, they could sometimes hear the pain behind the accusation, the fear behind the anger. They didn't solve their problems overnight, but they changed the medium in which they were trying to solve them, from a battlefield to a, sometimes shaky, negotiating table. Ease in communication is the breath between the sentences. Ultimately, living with ease is about becoming an ally to reality. You stop expecting life to be other than what it is. When rain falls on your picnic, you feel the disappointment, and then you pack up and find shelter, or you laugh and dance in it. The resistance, the futile mental argument with the weather, is what's abandoned. This alignment is the source of immense, quiet power. Your energy is no longer leaked through 1,000 tiny holes of resentment, worry, and control. It is consolidated, available for creativity, love, and meaningful action. Therefore, your practice is to look for the points of friction in your day, the morning rush, the crowded inbox, the difficult colleague, and ask, where am I adding force where flow is possible? Can you sequence your tasks like a graceful dance rather than a frantic race? Can you meet a frustrating person with a curiosity that disarms your own irritation? Each time you choose the path of less inner resistance, you strengthen the neural pathway of ease. You are not seeking a life without effort. You are cultivating effort that feels like a natural extension of your being, as fluid as a bird in flight. This is the taste of freedom the Buddha pointed to, not freedom from life, but freedom within it. Shall we continue? We've traveled a considerable distance, exploring the landscape of the mind. We've examined the nature of change, the illusion of a fixed self, the practice of awareness, and the power of compassion. Now, let's integrate these threads into the most intimate arena of our human experience, our relationships. This is where theory meets its toughest test and where liberation finds its deepest meaning. The Buddha's wisdom provides not a rulebook for relationships, but a revolutionary operating system, one based on seeing clearly, holding lightly, and loving boundlessly. Our greatest suffering and our greatest joy are often interpersonal. Why? Because relationships are the ultimate mirror of impermanence and the ultimate trigger for clinging. We long for stability in others, for a partner, a parent, a friend, or a child to remain as we know them, to fulfill a consistent role in our story. We fear their changes as threats to our security. This is the breeding ground for dependency, control, and heartbreak. The Buddhist framework invites a paradigm shift. From seeking a source of security in another person, to bringing a state of security to the relationship. Your inner stability, born of understanding Anicca and Anatta, becomes the greatest gift you can offer anyone. Consider this: when you relate from a place of needing someone to be a certain way for you to be okay, you turn them into a function. You relate to your idea of them, not to their living, changing reality. This is why relationships stagnate. The practice is to see the person anew in each moment. To ask, "Who are you today?" rather than assuming you already know. This requires letting the old image of them die, moment by moment, which is an act of courage and profound respect. It is loving the river, not the photograph of the river. Let me share an original story about two friends, Clara and Maya, who have been close since college. Their dynamic was fixed. Clara was the strong, capable one, and Maya was the creative, scattered one, who needed guidance. It worked for years. Then, Maya entered a period of intense therapy and personal growth. She became assertive, set clear boundaries, and made major life decisions without asking Clara's opinion. Clara felt betrayed, abandoned, and useless. She was clinging to the old, comfortable roles. Her suffering was not about Maya's growth, but about the death of the identity, Clara the helper. When Clara finally shared her sense of loss, Maya replied softly, "I don't need you to be my guide anymore. But I desperately want you to be my witness." This shifted everything. Clara realized she could release her old function and step into a new, more profound role, a witness to her friend's unfolding journey. Their friendship was reborn, deeper and more authentic, because it was no longer based on dependency but on mutual witnessing of each other's becoming. This is the essence of Buddhist relationship, being a sacred witness to another's impermanent, unfolding life. This applies powerfully to romantic love. Our culture sells a fantasy of fusion, two becoming one, completing each other. This is a recipe for suffering, as it demands the negation of each person's inherent flux and autonomy. The alternative is what we might call parallel play with a shared heart. Two individuals, each grounded in their own awareness and wholeness, choosing to walk their paths side by side, sharing the view. You are not half-seeking completion, you are whole beings choosing connection. Your love is not a cage that promises permanence, but a spacious garden where both of you are allowed to grow, change, and even outgrow certain shapes. This love is fearless because it is rooted in freedom, not possession. A practical tool from this framework is the practice of bearing witness during conflict. Instead of reacting to your partner's words as an attack, you pause and silently acknowledge, a being I love is suffering, and this is the shape of their suffering right now. This immediately engages your compassion, karuna, and creates space. You can then respond to the pain, not just the provocation. You stop keeping score and start tending the wound. The argument transforms from a battle to be won into a co-investigation of shared pain. Finally, this extends to the most challenging relationships. The Buddhist teachings on loving kindness, metta, are explicit. You cultivate goodwill even for those who have harmed you, not for their sake, but for your own freedom. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat or reconciling. It means internally releasing the poison of hatred, which only harms the holder. You see them as a node in the web of cause and condition, acting from their own confusion and pain. You can set a firm, even unyielding boundary with a calm heart. Forgiveness, in this sense, is simply the act of unclenching your own fist. It is you, laying down the heavy burden of resentment so you can walk forward unencumbered. You free yourself from being eternally chained to their past actions. Therefore, the practice for relationships is this: see. Don't freeze. See the person before you, fresh in this moment. Don't freeze them in the ice of yesterday's story. Offer the spaciousness of your non-clinging presence, the greatest gift one impermanent being can offer another. In that space, true connection, unburdened by demand, has room to breathe, to change, and to truly live. We have journeyed through the landscape of the mind, from recognizing the ever-changing nature of all things to finding a profound, unshakable peace within that very change. We've seen how our resistance to life's flow is the true source of our weariness, and how leaning into that flow with awareness and compassion is the essence of freedom. This is not a passive surrender, but an active, courageous alignment with reality. The core of the Buddha's message is not a distant paradise, but a profound truth available right here. Liberation is found in the complete intimacy with this present moment, exactly as it is. Impermanence is not a threat to a well-lived life. It is the necessary condition for one. It allows for healing, for growth, for new beginnings. It makes every moment precious, every connection sacred, and every ending a necessary part of a longer story. The practices we've explored, mindfulness, wise intention, self-compassion, and letting go, are not tasks to complete, but lenses through which to experience your life. They are ways of coming home to yourself, again and again, in the midst of the world's beautiful, chaotic, transient dance. So tonight, as we conclude, carry this simple knowing: you are not a statue being eroded by time. You are the capacity to know the weather, to feel the rain and the sun, to witness the seasons of the heart without being lost in any single storm. Your true nature is like the sky, spacious, aware, and inherently peaceful. Everything else, the thoughts, the feelings, the roles, the circumstances, are just passing weather in that vastness. Walk gently with this understanding. When you forget, as we all will, meet that forgetting with kindness. That, too, is part of the practice. Each breath is a new beginning. Each moment is a fresh opportunity to choose presence over resistance, compassion over criticism, and a wise ease over a weary struggle. You have everything you need within you already. You are, and have always been, complete. The path is simply a remembering. Thank you for walking this path with me. This has been Monk's Temple. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you live with ease. May you be free. Good night.